Hey Guru Gyanadina Damando, Swananda Data, Karanaika Sindhu, Vindavanasata Hira, Pasara, Pasirara, Pranaya Pikshara, Amso Bhagavatosmaham, Sadadasosmi Savata, Tad Kripa Pexako Nityam, Tad Presti Sat Karomi Swam, Namo Mahavadanaya, Krishna Prema Pradayate, Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya, Namni Gauti Say Namaho, Nityananda Maham Nomi, Savananda Kadam Padam, Harinama Pradam Devam, Avaduta Saromanim, Bande Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Nityananda Sahodito Godoraya Puspavanto, Chitro Sanduta Monado, Jayatang Sudato Pango, Mamanda Matiyagiti, Matsavashvapadam Bojo, Radhamadana Mohano, Anandali Nama Vigrahara, Hemavidivyakshavisundaraya, Tasmai Mahaprema Rasa Pradaya, Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste, Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste, Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste, Chidaratam Nijagupta Vitam Swaprema Namamitam Atyudara Apamalam Yo Vidatara Gora Krishna Janabhyastamaham Papadye Panchatattva-makam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Surupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Bande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prema Meritaropriyan Sakarupan Bhaktaganan Krishna Prema Pralapradan Panchakapatri Vishya Krishna Devya Vakshapatita Nampavena Vyo Vaishnava Vyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimate Gogovinda Swami Niti Namine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasidi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Dandavats everyone Vaishkapati Vishakapati Divya Vishakapati Namaha Tatpadam Dashitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So I'm going to attempt to speak on this subject matter. So when Mahaprabhu comes, right, when Mahaprabhu appears in this world, he brings with him, in the words of my Gurudev Srila Govinda, a giant festival from Goloka Vrindavan. Goloka Premadam Harinam Sankirtana. That festival does not appear here unless Mahaprabhu is here, or Mahaprabhu's men are here. So Mahaprabhu brings a giant festival from that world to this world. There's a giant festival going on in Goloka, he brings it here. Number two, he establishes the storehouse of love of God. And the storehouse of love of God, he makes Sri Nityananda Thakur, Lord Nityananda, the custodian, and the gatekeeper, Sanatana Goswami. Right? And Lord Nityananda and Sanatana Goswami, they knock out the bolts of the doors, open it up, and allow everyone to come and take freely. Come and take freely this prema. Right. And number three, he sets up or institutes the Sri Gauranga Samaj. Sri Gauranga Samaj means the true association of the devotees of Mahaprabhu. And that means that place where all Vaishnavas can be accommodated. That is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sri Gauranga Samaj. This is in the words of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Wrote a very nice article about it. Goes for 20 pages. Very nice. But the Sri Gauranga Samaj is that place where all Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis can be accommodated. No, everyone. Because Mahaprabhu came for everyone, irrespective of caste, creed, colour, gender, group affiliation, whatever. Right. So, and then Mahaprabhu empowers his personal associates to write the Bhakti Shastras. Right? They write the Gaudiya Vaishnav Siddhanta. And they're empowered to write. Conditioned soul is not empowered to write. Unless the Guru gives an order, you write something on this for me, and the disciple goes and does it. Otherwise, he's not empowered to write. Unless he's glorifying Guru. That's what the conditioned soul should do. He should glorify his spiritual master. Otherwise, conditioned soul cannot write Siddhanta. So, Mahaprabhu empowered the Goswamis. Number one, Srila Sanatana Goswami, 1488 to 1558. Right? Sanatana Goswami was empowered to write. Mahaprabhu personally empowered him. And he is Lavanga Manjari. And also in the body of Sanatana Goswami is Sanatana Kumar. One of the four Kumaras also there. Two personalities in the one body. Second person, Srila Rupa Goswami, 1489 to 1588. That's not correct. Oh, sorry, I've left one thing out. So Srila Sanatana Goswami, he is Sambanda Acharya, which means he's the Acharya for Sambanda Tattva. Srila Rupa Goswami, 1489 to 1588, he is Sri Rup Manjari. Rup Manjari is the chief associate of Lalita Devi, who is the chief associate or confidant of Srimati Radhika. Very high position. And he was empowered by Mahaprabhu to write, and he is the Abhideya Acharya. And Abhideya means how to act on the path of bhakti. Number three, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, 1494 to 1586. He is Prayojana Acharya. He's Rati Manjari, right? They're all in Manjari Bhav. He's Rati Manjari, and he is in charge of the Prayojana Tattva. Prayojana Tattva means the goal. So Sambanda means relationship. Abhideya means how to act in that relationship, and Prayojana means the goal, right? So in the words of my beloved Gurudev, Srila Gauravinda Swami, he said, Sambanda means relationship. There is only one relationship, that is relationship with Krishna. Right? That means Krishna Sambanda, right? Then he said, Abhideya means how to act in that relationship. That means Krishna Bhakti, right? So Abhideya means Krishna Bhakti. And then the Prayojana Tattva means the goal. The goal is prema. Therefore he said that means prem bhakti. So we have Krishna Sambanda, Krishna Krishna Bhakti and Prem Bhakti. Right? And that is the three tattvas, Sambanda, Abhideya, Prayojana. And, as I said last night, he said, if you can fully understand these three tattvas, you'll be eternally happy. Because if you live in this material world, you must suffer. Right? Must suffer. Then, Jiva Goswami, 1513 to 1596. Jiva Goswami is the Tattva Acharya, Acharya of the Absolute Truth. And he's the youngest, and he was the most prolific. He wrote more verses than any Goswami. Actually, I think he wrote more verses than any Acharya, isn't it? Jiva Goswami?
I heard Prabhupada said he wrote 400,000 verses during the course of his life.
How many?
400,000.
400,000? Yeah, that's right, yeah. Many verses. And he also edited the books, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Srila Rupa Goswami. So, there's Sambanda Acharya, who's the Acharya of Sambanda Tattva, which is Krishna Sambanda. What is your relationship with Krishna? Right. And as my Gurudev said, there's only one relationship, that's relationship with Krishna. Srila Rupa Goswami is the Abhideya Acharya, how to function, right, in that relationship. Means Krishna Bhakti. And Raghunath Das Goswami, Prayojana Acharya, the goal. Prem Prayojana. The goal means prema, Prem Bhakti. That is the goal. So it is said, if we only have sudden but we don't have sadhya, or we only have sadhan but we don't understand there is sadhya, or we only have sadhan and we don't understand that the goal is sadhya, then that may become an anatta for us. Right. It's not that sadhan is an anatta, but if you only understand sadhan but there's no understanding of sadhya, the goal is prema, right? If we don't understand that, then it may become an anatta, and therefore the Srila Krishna Goswami, he says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Vaidi Magna Paya Braja Krishna Chandra. You won't get Krishna in Braj just by doing sadhan. And then he says you'll only get Krishna by spontaneous bhakti. So, Srila Jiva Goswami has written, and Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada has quoted in his Chaitanya Charitamrita purports that those persons that think they do not need to study the books of the previous acharyas, under guidance of course, but do not think they need to study the books of the previous acharyas, they are only pseudo-devotees. He says it 2 or 3 times, pseudo-devotees, pseudo-devotees. So we have to understand, we need to understand this Siddhanta. And what is the science of bhakti? Sambanda, Abhideya, Prayojana.
Where did you just quote there?
Krishna Sambanda, Krishna Bhakti, Krishna Prema, right? That is the science of bhakti. And in the 4th chapter of the Harinam Chintamani, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, this is what the Guru teaches. Right, it's up to Guru to teach. Right, this is what the Guru teaches. So, the Sambanda Tattva is discussed by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Sambanda Tattva is discussed by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Sri Krishna Samhita, Sri Chaitanya Shikshamrita, 2nd chapter. And there are 7 main points one should understand. When one has fully understood this, it is said he knows Sambanda, right? Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that's number 1. Number 2, Ras. Santa Dasha Sakya Vatsalya Madhurya, right? Number 3, Krishna's energies, right? Krishna Shakti. Then the Jiva in a liberated state, the Jiva in a conditioned state, and the Akincha Beta Beta Tattva Siddhanta of Mahaprabhu. Just like the Akincha Beta Beta Tattva of Mahaprabhu. When Sankaracharya came, he presented his Advaitavad or Kevaladvaitavad, the oneness, right? And he held up one finger and he said, Tattvamasi, you are all that. You were that, right? But then Ramanujacharya came and Madhvacharya came, and they went to great lengths to present the difference. And Madhvacharya held up 2 fingers and he said, Tasya, not Tattvamasi, Tasya Tramasi, you are his. In other words, you are Jivara Swarapoi Krishna Nityadas. And even that Jivara Swarapoi Krishna Nityadas is still entry-level information. It's still beginning. Right? You're an eternal servant of Krishna, but how are you an eternal servant of Krishna? What is your Sambanda, your Abhideya and your Prayojana? And this is for Guru to teach, you see. So, so there's 7 main points of Sambanda, and Sambanda means, in the words of Guru Maharaj, it means relationship, but there's only one relationship with Krishna. So there are 5 types of material relationships which Guru Maharaj used to quote all the time. Pita, Putra, Sambanda, the relationship between father and son. Pati, Patni, Sambanda, the relationship between husband and wife. Prabhu, Britya, Sambanda, the relationship between master and servant, or guru and disciple. Bandhu, Bandhava, Sambanda, relationship with friends and relatives. And Itara Sambanda is all other relationships. This is in a lecture, 14th to 3rd, 1990, Srimad Bhagavatam 7.13.18. Sadhu cannot be understood by the material senses. So there's a 5 material relationships, but the 5 spiritual relationships means Santa, Dasha, Shakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. And even in the Madhya Lila 20th chapter, verse 397, in his purport, Srila Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami writes, one must go from sadhan to siddhi. Siddhi means Swarup Siddhi. Swarup Siddhi means Bhav. You have hit that topmost platform in this world. And next step is Bhoma Lila, where Krishna's having his pastime. Then out. So and Sanatana Goswami, he wrote many books. He wrote Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Sri Hari Bhakti Vilas, which is the some say law book for the Vaishnavas, especially the Grihastas, the rule books, right? And there's 20 Vilasas. He wrote, I had it in my head, I've forgotten. Sri Hari Bhakti Vilas, Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita, he wrote a commentary on the Damodara Astakam, yeah? And a commentary on the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. And Sanatana Goswami was considered the gatekeeper of the storehouse of love of God. So he was not only the gatekeeper of the storehouse of love of God, he was the acharya for the Sambanda acharya relationship. So next is Srila Rupa Goswami. Srila Rupa Goswami, as I said, is Rupa Manjari. He is the chief Manjari in the group of Lalita Devi, and Lalita Devi is the chief confidant of Srimati Radhika. And he is in charge of Abhideya Tattva, means how to act in your relationship with Krishna. And he wrote many books, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Lalita Madhava, Vidagdha Madhava, Ujjvala Nilamani, Sri Radha Krishna Ganadesa Deepika. He wrote many books. But this is all qualified under that two phrases that he's wrote. Vishrambena Guru Seva Sadhuvat Manuvatanam. One must understand under guidance of sadhu, right? That means you're there and the sadhu's there, Prasanga Rupa Seva, Parichaja Rupa Seva, and he's teaching. Sadhu's there, you're there. I can't hammer home this point enough. Now in chapter 13 of Jivadharma, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, in this world many people are contaminated by the impersonal doctrine. Right? And thus fall into life of sin. Right? And no offence, we're all impersonalists. No offence. We may not be impersonalists now, but we were impersonalists before we came to this line, and now we're attempting to be personalists. Right? Honest attempt or dishonest attempt, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to become personalists. Because the supreme absolute reality is a person. And this is enunciated by so many acharyas. If there were no disciplic succession or institution of devotees free from this contamination, then it would be very difficult for ordinary people to find saintly association. So that means the sampradaya must go forward. It must keep going. There must be that association of saintly persons. So, back to Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami is the Abhideya Acharya. Abhideya is how to act in that relationship, and he wrote many books. And these books should be studied under the guidance of sadhu. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is really Shraddha to Prema. Ujjvala Nilamani is from Prema, Sneha, Mana, Pranaya, Rag, Anurag, Bhav, Mahabhav, Ruda Mahabhav, Adi Ruda Mahabhav, Modanakya and Madanakya. And Madanakya means Srimati Radhika and Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu is Radha Bhava Jyotis Suvalitam, right? It's Krishna come in the mood and complexion of Srimati Radhika as Mahaprabhu to understand himself. And this is all Guru teaches. And I remember Guru Maharaj used to say, don't try and understand, just listen. So Rupa Goswami began his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in 1541. And it was, 1452, and it was finished in 1552, 10 years later. And Jiva Goswami was the editor of that book. And then Jiva Goswami wrote a commentary on that book. Right? So that Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and I don't like to use this word, but that's the Bible for the Vaishnavas. Is there a better word, Maharaj, than... It's the Vaishnav canon.
Yeah, the Vaishnav canon.
It's the Vaishnav canon. No offense to anyone, but yeah. Right. So it's very important. And Ujjvala Nilamani goes from prema, sneha, it takes you further. Further into the divine understanding of prema and how it becomes more condensed, more condensed, more condensed. Till it's just absolute nectar, you can't give it up. Anyway, which I'm nowhere near that, but I've heard from sadhus, that's all I can say, and I'm trying to repeat what they said. And then Raghunath Das Goswami, Prayojana Tattva, the Prayojana Acharya. He's the Acharya for the Prayojana Tattva, the Tattva of Prema, Prem Prayojana, the goal is Prema. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says, I've forgotten the verse actually. Anyway, I've forgotten the verse, but he says that so many verses he presents, the goal is Prema. And he makes the point that Dhamma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, which are the four goals of so-called life, are like straw in the street compared to Prema. Right? So, and to understand Prema, to really get that, to understand and imbibe it, you will have to associate with the prema-bhakti. You can't just jump to Prema. And that's been discussed in the Madhurya Kandabini by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Srila Rupa Goswami's famous verses, Adoshada Tata Sadhusanga Tabhajana Kriya Tatona Tana Vritisha Tatonista Ruchistata Tata Shaktis Bhava and Prema. 9 levels to Bhakti. And then those levels get broken down again. And then they get broken down again. So you cannot jump. You cannot jump from beginner to Prema. You cannot jump from Adoshada, Tata Sadhusanga, or Bhajana Kriya, or even another Vidi to Prema. It's not possible. You have to go through all the different steps. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written that, as Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has also written that. So, then Raghunath Das Goswami, he wrote books such as Chaitanya Astika, Manashiksha, Radhika Astika, Stava Vali, and Vilapa Kusumanjali. He wrote many books. The list is enormous. And Raghunath Das Goswami, very austere. He said he would spend his day 1,000 times paying obeisance to Vaishnavas, 2,000 times paying obeisance to different deities. If he saw someone coming and they looked like a Vaishnava, he'd pay Dandavat straight away. If we see someone coming, we think, who's that person? Is he in my group? Does he think like me? Oh, he's got a different opinion than me? Quick, out. Get rid of him. Now, that's how we think. Because, see, we're actually impersonalists. We're actually, we're not personalists yet. We're attempting. It's an attempt. As I said, it might be an honest attempt or a dishonest attempt. He slept 1.5 hours a day. He was writing, chanting so many rounds. Hardly slept, hardly ate. So, these persons are very empowered. They were empowered by Mahaprabhu. As I said, when Mahaprabhu came, he brought a giant festival from Goloka Vrindavan. That Goloka Vrindavan festival that was going on there comes here. Then he established a storehouse of love of God. Then the Sri Gauranga Samaj. Sri Gauranga Samaj means the true association of the devotees of Mahaprabhu, where all Vaishnavas can be accommodated. Then he empowered the Goswamis. And then the youngest of the Goswamis, the most prolific writer, Jiva Goswami, 1513 to 1596. His Diksha Guru was Rupa Goswami. Shiksha from Sanatana Goswami. Even Rupa Goswami, he says that Sanatana Goswami was his Shiksha Guru. So even Rupa Goswami, who's a great personality, right? Rup Manjari, the main Manjari in the group of Lalita Devi, has a Shiksha Guru. Jiva Goswami is the most prolific writer amongst the Goswamis. Diksha Guru, Shiksha Guru. And in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I think it's in the Madhya Lila, where Mahaprabhu meets Sanatana Goswami and Srila Rupa Goswami in Ram Keli, isn't it? And he says their names, they took Muslim names, Dabira Kas and Sakara Malik, because they took service in the court of the sultans. And he said, I'm going to change your names to Sanatan and Rupa Goswami. And in his commentary, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada says that's the initiation of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. So Jiva Goswami, he wrote the Sandarbhas. The Sandarbhas they are like the foundational points of our Siddhanta. Tattva Sandarbha, Bhagavat Sandarbha, Paramatma Sandarbha, Krishna Sandarbha, Bhakti Sandarbha, Priti Sandarbha. Right? Now the first four, Tattva Sandarbha, Bhagavat Sandarbha, Paramatma Sandarbha, Krishna Sambanda, Krishna Sandarbha, they equal Sambanda Tattva. So we're back to that Sambanda Tattva, right? Relationship. Bhakti Sandarbha means Abhideya, right? Krishna Bhakti, we're back to that. And Priti Sandarbha means Prayojana, prema-bhakti, the goal, prema. Priti, prema means love. Not the love of this material world, that divine love, which we have no real understanding of. We have maybe heard from sadhus or read in the book, but we have not experienced that. Even in the preliminary stage, the hairs are standing on end, tears are coming from the eyes, body's changing colour, etc., etc., etc. So next time you're chanting in front of the mirror and your body starts to change colour, you'll know you've made advancement.
What colour is that?
Sorry?
What colour is that?
All different colours. Oh yeah. Even red. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu it says if a sadhu's body changes red, that's a very rare colour to see. Very rare. Anyway, so the Sandarbhas equal Sambanda, Abhideya, Prayojana, right? And the first four Sandarbhas equal Sambanda, right? Relationship, Krishna Sambanda. And as I said, the Bhakti Sandarbha means Abhideya Tattva, right? Means how to act in that relationship. And Priti Sandarbha means divine love. The goal, prema. So, Srila Jiva Goswami, he's written the Sandarbhas. And in the Tattva Sandarbha, he makes the point, Srimad Bhagavatam is the highest book. Should I stop because you've got to speak? I won't finish this by 1:45. Okay, I'll just... All right. Fully explains the Gayatri Mantra. It's Aparishaya, means superhuman. Number 4, it's easily available. 12 cantos, 335 chapters, 18,000 verses. And number 5, fully in line with our Siddhanta. Right.